The annual Catholic Appeal is the love of Christ in action. Your generous donations provide hot meals, warm clothes, comfort, healing, and light in what can sometimes be a person's darkest hour. Jesus gives himself to us in the Eucharist, and we are to receive him and take him out into the world, to transform the world. Be a part of that transformation by supporting the annual Catholic Appeal.
Please consider supporting the 2022 annual Catholic Appeal.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
A new scholarship program to encourage new families to try Catholic schools. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
A Feeding Hills veteran is among 20,000 volunteers from 52 countries who've joined the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Steve Kiltonic will have more. And Dan Dumas will have the latest news from throughout Western Massachusetts. These stories are just ahead on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. A Catholic education is a wonderful gift to give to a young person, but unfortunately the cost can be a barrier to many. In response to that concern, there's a new scholarship program in the Diocese of Springfield which will benefit new families enrolling students in Catholic schools beginning this fall. Carolee McGrath has more on Discover the Difference Scholarship Program.
You reign now in splendor with Jesus our King.
Bishop William Byrne was joined by second graders from Mater Dolorosa School in Holyoke to announce the Discover the Difference Scholarship Program, which is being offered to families new to Catholic schools in the 2022-2023 academic school year. The program has been made possible thanks to the generous donation of an anonymous donor.
The benefactor believes in the mission of Catholic education, which is that we educate the whole child, not just brains and not just out on the sports field, but the soul, the spirit of the child, to make them complete and whole children and then happy adults.
New families to Catholic schools who send their children to any diocesan elementary school will receive a $1,000 scholarship per student and a $2,000 scholarship per student at St. Mary's High School in Westfield or Pope Francis Prep in Springfield.
In recent years, our Catholic schools have shown a resilience in the face of great challenges, providing quality, faith-based education in a safe environment.
The scholarship is in addition to any financial aid a family may apply for. Enrollment is up about 13% in Catholic schools since the beginning of the pandemic. While most schools around here were either remote or hybrid in the 2020-2021 school year, Catholic schools were open.
I remember you.
Yeah, I'm the bishop.
I remember you from last.
Yeah, I know. I'm the bishop and I came by for a visit.
After the announcement, Bishop Byrne and Zelli visited the kindergarten and first grade classes with school principal Mary Fedora. She's a graduate of the school and sent her 4 children there as well.
We were fortunate that we were able to start the school year off in-person learning, and because of that, we had many families come and visit and choose us, and they're still here. They haven't left. They're still here, and we're still getting more.
Dan Balarjan, the superintendent of Catholic schools, says the difference is not only the excellent education, but the community of faith.
Our Catholic schools really do a great job holistically, so we think of the child completely. So it's not just the academics. Our academics are excellent. Our teachers are really strong, our administrators are really strong, but we think of the entire child, not only what they know, but who they are. And so we do community really well. Our Catholic schools have great faith communities, and obviously being Catholic, right? So we're able to freely talk about Christ and build virtue.
And the hope is more and more families will discover the difference of academic excellence and the bonus of having Christ in the classroom.
Ave, Ave Maria.
Reporting for Reel to Reel in Holyoke, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And as we just learned in Carolee's story, finances are often the roadblock to families providing a Catholic education for their children. Local and individual school financial assistance is available, and parents of students at St. John the Baptist School in Ludlow have another opportunity thanks to a new scholarship. Nick Morganelli shares not only how this one is being funded, but the special person who it's named after, Sister Alice Lavoie.
St. John the Baptist School is proud to announce on the anniversary of Sister Alice's 91st birthday, the establishment of the Sister Alice Lavoie Memorial Scholarship. This scholarship, funded by members of Sister Alice's family, will recognize students from grades 5, 6, and 7 who exemplify the values that Sister Alice so faithfully taught and modeled in her 32 years of teaching at St. John the Baptist School: responsibility, discipline, selflessness, and faithfully practicing the Catholic faith.
Sister Alice Lavoie, a sister of St. Anne, was loved and admired by all, especially her pastor, Monsignor Homer Goslin.
Piety to begin with, she was so prayerful, that stands out, but she was kind, and there was nothing more important to her than her faith and prayer and her love for the Catholic Church. And she was an excellent teacher. She did everything in her power to share her enthusiasm for the church and for love for God and love for Jesus to our students.
Elaine Belajan is not only a graduate herself, but her children, now leading successful careers, graduated from the school as well. She shared the impact that Sister Alice had on their education.
My daughter shared that, she had high expectations, and she expected you to meet those expectations. And she would work with you until you did. And she would then applaud you when you reached that. But she never let you do any less than you were capable of doing. She taught them how to read the Bible. She taught them how to use a Bible. She not only taught religion and taught catechism, she brought it to life.
As a parent, Elaine learned too, like the altar prayer Sister Alice taught her kids.
Adore, love, thanks, ask, and repent or repair. My faith increased from what they learned here. You can't get that anywhere else.
Sister Alice also had a tough love with her students.
In her enthusiasm for teaching, sometimes she could be a little stern, but I think that's a Lavoie trait. She was strict. She was strict, She didn't put up with a lot of nonsense, but she was loving through it all.
Her brother and sister agree.
Very strict, yes. No fooling around.
She talked to her, she had a stern face. She wasn't smiling. When you were teaching, I think she was very stern.
Family members of Sister Alice were thrilled about the scholarship.
She certainly deserved it, and we're proud to donate to this fundraiser because it's great for this parish and for the school.
They know how important a Catholic education is and how it impacts the lives of children for the future.
How important is Catholic education?
Very important. Children that leave this school always do better in high school than people that go to public grammar schools.
Alumni who had Sister Alice or anyone who knew her is encouraged to participate in funding the scholarship.
There are families that need that, and to be honest, I was one of those families in those early years that I benefited from a different scholarship. So it is important. It takes that burden off of parents slightly to say, yeah, I can do this.
It's a way to honor her memory, honor her legacy, and a lot of our graduates know that they got a tremendous education from her, and I think they're going to love the opportunity to support the school this way.
You can contact St. John the Baptist School in Ludlow if you'd like to join the family by blessing the school with a contribution. Honoring Sister Alice for Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
And both this and the Discover the Difference scholarships are in addition to financial aid that's already available, thanks in part to the annual Catholic Appeal. If you haven't made your gift yet, you can do so right now through a secure and safe donation portal at diospringfield.org. And we thank you so much in advance. And still to come on Real to Real, Steve Kiltonic has the story of a Feeding Hills man who has joined the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. And Rebecca Drake sits down with the new music director of St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield as she shares the story of her melodically busy life. All this and more still ahead on Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passion's brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy day and join us Sunday morning. We welcome Father Jonathan Reardon as our Mass presider and celebrate the 5th Sunday of Easter. The Chalice of Salvation, Sunday mornings at 10, right here on 22 News, WWLP.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Jesus said,
Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor.
What does it mean to love?
Jesus shows us what it means to love.
to will the good of the other, to give them a helping hand. The annual Catholic Appeal is the love of Christ in action. Your generous donations provide hot meals, warm clothes, comfort, healing, and light in what can sometimes be a person's darkest hour. Jesus gives himself to us in the Eucharist, and we are to receive him and take him out into the world, to transform the world. Be a part of that transformation by supporting the annual Catholic Appeal. With your donations and your prayers, hearts will be touched, lives will be changed, transformed actually, in Christ.
Transformed in Christ, helping all in need. Please consider supporting the 2022 Annual Catholic Appeal.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel News Briefs. As it approaches its 50th year, Mass Citizens for Life held its annual Mother's Day dinner to honor all mothers. But this event had a different buzz due to the recent news leaked from the Supreme Court that the landmark case Roe v. Wade is being strongly scrutinized and will be ruled on before this session concludes in June. Nick Morganelli has the story.
Over 100 pro-life supporters were greeted by Myrna Maloney Flynn, President and CEO of Mass Citizens for Life.
Undeterred in the face of relentless, progressive, often crude relativism, and tonight we toast the women who raised you, the women you are.
Keynote speaker Catherine Glenn Foster, President and CEO of Americans United for Life, shared her personal post-abortive story in a video before her address.
It was, the most painful thing you can imagine. I could almost feel that there was a soul being ripped out of me.
Foster then focused on the recent news of the leaked draft opinion from the Supreme Court.
If what leaked earlier this week is anything like the decision that the U.S. Supreme Court does eventually hand down in final form, then we are so close to overturning Roe v. Wade, finally. We are on the verge of a new era in American history, and thank God for that.
She was amazing. She was amazing. Her personal story was wonderful to hear.
I've been to many MCFL events. I've been to many pro-life events, and this was one of the best.
Foster gave hopeful insight into Justice Alito's opinion.
Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Roe was on a collision course with the Constitution from the day it was decided.
She spoke of the protests against the justices and concluded with a call to pray for them.
Praise God for these justices, and may God grant them the courage to finalize this language and release their ultimate decision without delay.
Deacon Michael Forrest invited guests to donate and echoed the intention for prayer.
Now's the time to press forward with greater energy, intensity, and conviction than ever. The tide is turning, brothers and sisters.
Every prayer they've said, every dollar they've donated, every time they've stood up to volunteer, every time they have raised their voice in the face of opposition that exists here in Western Mass, they should know right now that it has counted, it has made a difference, and it's just the beginning.
Honoring mothers and with hope for the unborn, for Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
In other news, it was announced last weekend that the Conventual Franciscan Friars have reached an agreement to staff Our Lady of Fatima Parish in Ludlow beginning July 1st. Father Pedro de Oliveira will serve as the new pastor. Father Pedro is currently assigned as pastor of St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. Born on the island of São Miguel in the Azores, he emigrated as a child with his parents and siblings to Massachusetts. The pastorate at Our Lady of Fatima became vacant with the retirement earlier this year of Father Vitor Oliveira. And you can read more at iobserve.org, where you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally and beyond. There you can find articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
According to Ukrainian authorities, since the beginning of the war, some 20,000 volunteers from 52 countries have joined the Ukrainian Foreign Legion in the fight against Russia. A local man serving with the Foreign Legion recently returned to America to share his experience with members of the Ukrainian Catholic Church. Steve Kiltonick spoke with the Feeding Hills native and has this story.
As the Ukrainian war approaches 3 months, the Ukrainian army has continued its fierce resistance, driving the Russians from key cities in the western part of the country. Fighting alongside the Ukrainians are thousands of foreign nationals who answered President Zelensky's call to join the Ukrainian Foreign Legion in the fight against the Russian invasion. One such American fighter who recently returned is Michael St. John. On April 24th, St. John spoke to parishioners of Saints Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church about his war experience. St. John grew up attending Sacred Heart Parish in Feeding Hills. He spent 4 years in the Marines from 2011 to 2015, serving a term in Afghanistan. St. John was living in California with his girlfriend when the war broke out. He immediately quit his job, packed his bags, and booked a flight.
To me, this is a war of morality. This is a war of good versus evil, of right versus wrong. And it's very plain to see as day. They're committing acts of genocide. They're bombing hospitals, schools, blowing up apartment complexes. And for me, that doesn't sit right. I'm not okay with seeing civilians taking the brunt of a war. I'm not okay with seeing these atrocities take place. If I can even save one person and get them out of harm's way, that's what I'm going to do. And that's why I'm still going to go back there, because there's still people over there doing God's work.
St. John served nearly a month with other foreigners who stand firmly united against the Russians.
I've served the people from Brazil, I've served the people from England, I've served the people from Ireland, France, Poland. There's people from pretty much every nation over there helping out.
St. John also served side by side with Americans and Canadians. Because the Foreign Legion is part of the Ukraine military, he and others in his unit are paid Ukrainian currency. St. John arrived in Ukraine on March 13th at the Yavorik training facility located near the Polish border. Prior to the war, NATO troops trained here, and when the war started, it's where many foreign fighters received their orders. It was considered a safe zone, but around 4 in the morning, Russian jets launched cruise missile attacks. St. John was able to make it into a trench and dug in with some other soldiers for the ensuing hour and a half.
We didn't have anything to fight back against these jets, you know what I mean? We didn't have any anti-air missiles on us or anything like that to shoot it down. So as we're laying there, these other forces that are staying in these barracks, these other Ukrainian forces, they're getting bombed. You know, we lost about 40 people that day. So that was 40 casualties just on the first day.
After the attack, St. John and his unit headed toward Irpin, about 13 miles on the outskirts of the capital, Kyiv. In the battle for Irpin, he was involved in some of the heaviest fighting of the war.
I'm sure you've already heard the stories of Irpin and Bucha, dead bodies lining the streets. They were grabbing anybody under the age of 50 that was a man and shooting them because they could be considered a military combatant. We witnessed people in vehicles shot dead.
Soldiers witnessed an elderly woman walking her dog in the midst of the fighting. St. John saw the end result of a mortar shell that went through the roof of the woman's house.
During that intense fighting, all the Russians saw was a civilian going into that house and decided it needed to be hit with artillery. These are real atrocities. These are real things that are taking place. These are real people. You know, I mean, these are people that had families, that had wives, that had children, that had husbands. Next thing you know, the Russians are here blowing up the whole city and leveling buildings, destroying brand new apartment complexes, shooting anything that moves in these buildings.
St. John's unit retrieved the body of a dead Georgian soldier, walking 12 miles surrounded by the Russians. St. John saw Russian soldiers lying dead on the street.
But most of the times the Russians didn't even care. They were just leaving their bodies wherever they lied.
A primary reason St. John returned was to gather medical supplies, which he said were sorely lacking on the battlefield. Tourniquets are a much-needed item to stop bleeds.
The lack of having something as simple as that can put you out of the fight. But any medical supplies over there are useful. Like I said, any first aid kit, combat gauze, tourniquets, seals for gunshot wounds to the chest, decompression needles if you have a collapsed lung.
St. John asks that anyone looking to donate medical supplies should bring it to the Ukrainian Catholic Church in Ludlow.
I'm going to be personally bringing this stuff over to the front line with some guys that I've served with over there already.
Father Andrei Kripp and his parishioners are thankful to St. John for his service to Ukraine.
He must be a very brave person because I don't know myself, I'm a Ukrainian, but how I would act. I myself am grateful for such soldiers as he is to go and risk his life and to protect the other people that he never knew, country that he never probably been there.
St. John plans to return to Ukraine once he has gathered enough medical supplies for his fellow soldiers and civilians still trapped in the cities. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
St. John said if anyone's interested in contributing medical supplies, contact him directly via his email, which is mstjohn1991@gmail.com. And our prayers are with him upon his return to the war-torn region. Finally today, Ashley Deplesis is a full-time music teacher, a wife, and mother of 2 small children. Recently, she added another title to her resume, Music Director of St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield. Rebecca Drake sat down with her and shares the story of this busy and talented young woman.
Raised in the Episcopal Church, Ashley Duplessis began her career in liturgical music ministry at a very young age.
It's always been a huge part of my faith. I started singing in a children's choir at 6 years old at my home church in Ledyard, Connecticut, and sang with them for many years. Joined the adult choir at 12 and sang soprano and alto.
Duplessis continued her participation in church music ministry through her college years and into adulthood.
Really, that for me is the way that I do connect to God, and is really, special to me to be able to make that connection and have that feeling of just making a joyful noise unto the Lord.
And while she may not have anticipated being music director at a diocesan cathedral, she has recently assumed this position with gratitude and hopes to expand the music ministry this year.
It is such a blessing to be here, though. I absolutely love this cathedral. The acoustics are fantastic. The organ is amazing, and I'm excited to continue to further my skills on the organ.
Duplessis has been warmly welcomed by the cathedral parish, where she has served for several years in the adult choir and as assistant for the boys' choir.
We were delighted that Ashley was willing to assume greater responsibility. She's been involved in the program for about 7 years, and so she was well known by the choir and certainly by the parishioners at the 10 o'clock Mass. And we were delighted for her willingness to share her talent with the other masses and certainly with diocesan events as the director.
In addition to her previous experience in the cathedral's music program, Duplessis has taught music at St. Michael's Academy in Springfield for the last 8 years and will continue in that position as well.
I have 2 choirs at the school with a total of enrollment of about 80 students in those choirs in a school of 400. So there's a 3rd through 5th grade choir and a 6th through 8th grade choir. We do liturgical music most of the year. We are currently preparing for our spring concert, which will be on May 19th, and we're doing a Disney theme for that. So it's nice to be able to incorporate all aspects and to be able to connect with the students in that way and prepare them to sing for Mass.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life.
The school's principal has praise for Duplessis and the gifts she brings to the music program.
It brings so much joy to all of the events that we have. Our masses are just beautiful experiences because the kids all know the songs and they all have their opportunity to sing.
Ann Dougal says the school is happy to share the talents and expertise of Duplessis with the cathedral.
They're going to get a hard worker, a very organized person who understands her role, and very creative. So I think they're very lucky to have her.
Here at the cathedral, the new music director has already earned the respect of choir members and parishioners.
As a musician, I think she has a great personality to deal with the young people. We have a young choir here, and she has the respect of the adults. And as she has assumed the responsibility of organist, the people have gotten to see her and hear her more, and they appreciate her being here, as do we all.
However, Duplessis herself is not focused on past achievements, but is looking to the future.
I would love to see the choir continue to grow. Right now we have about 16 adults and 20 boys from grades 3 through 8 involved. And I would love to see that number grow a bit more.
In addition to continuing restoration work on the cathedral's organ and working on her own organ skills, Duplessis has another item on her wish list.
I would just love to see more people here. We've got such a large space here, and I would love to see more seats filled. And I'm hoping that through our gift of music, that we can bring in people in droves, hopefully, to hear the music and to be able to experience God through that way and their faith through the music.
As local Catholics celebrate this Easter season, the joyful praise of God through the sound of beautiful music will continue to enhance parish liturgies and diocesan events at St. Michael's Cathedral. For Real to Real, I'm Rebecca Drake.
Congratulations and best wishes to Ashley Duplessis in her new position. And if you are interested in joining the Cathedral Choir of Boys and Adults, you can contact her at 413-452-0839 or by email at a.duplessis@diospringfield.org. And for this week, that's Real to Real. Thank you so much for watching. Real to Real will again be preempted next weekend on WWLP TV 22 due to NBC's airing of the Preakness Stakes. Viewers on other cable networks will see an encore edition. And in the meantime, for all of the latest news of the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, head over to iobserve.org, where we have it all for you. And we are on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I'll see you right back here in 2 weeks at this same time for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.